Hi, this is Terry.
And I'm Jeff. This is SMARK versus Mark.
Tell this fucking story now. So, I was about 8 years old, and I was looking at my clothes, and I was like, man, I got some shitty clothes. I want to look cool. 8 years old, and I go up to my mom, and I'm like, Mom, I need new clothes. I need cool clothes. I need to look like Brutus the Barber Beefcake. But because
You want the mesh?
I think my perception of what was cool or fashionable was skewed pretty heavily by professional wrestling. Then at 8, I was like, I want to look like a male stripper, Mom, and I need the mesh tights to do it, and the sleeve armbands.
I actually had Christmas lists in first grade. I remember writing down pair of rocker spandex.
Nice.
Yep. I thought they were so cool.
It's the first time I ever saw kick pads on a wrestler was Sean Waltman when he was in Global.
Mm-hmm.
This was before he was in the WWF.
Okay.
And that was another one of those, like, hey, I know that guy. Then he showed up in WWF. I was like, but I know that guy from here. And he wore kick pads, but they didn't register with me that they were, like, wrestler kick pads. Like, we see them today. I thought that they were, like, the shit that, like, a catcher at a baseball game would wear.
Shin guards?
Yeah, shin guards. And so I was like, man, that's fucking cheating, man. Those are, like, hard plastic. You fucking knock somebody out with those. And he's, like, doing all these crazy kicks. I don't know why I didn't register, because like I had no concept of what the shin pads for a wrestler were at that time. So my mind automatically assumed that they were shin guards that like a baseball player would wear.
I hate that look, by the way. Anytime guys wear it, it totally turns them out. Remember Shamrock wore them, freaking Waltman wore them. I think Miz might have them too.
Yeah.
It
had, I think it had a good, like, legitimacy feel to it, but then it became everybody wore them.
Yeah.
And then they became the accessory. I think I was reading Lance Storm wrote an article saying that he felt like it became sort of a crutch for wrestlers who just could not build their calves up. And so it was like added like padding to give the illusion that they had bigger calves. Coincidentally, I learned too recently a wrestler that I would have never thought was very insecure about his calves, Bruiser Brody. And that's why he wore the fluffy like boots and stuff.
Chicken legs?
Yeah, he had chicken legs, so he wore like either the frills or the fluff or whatever on him.
Doesn't bother John Cena.
No, but that's also why you'll see like a lot of guys like Ric Flair, they wear their knee pads around their calves to kind of hide that they don't. Because Flair didn't even like use the pads for whatever.
With Bully Ray.
Fuck yeah,
Calzilla, dude.
How did he?
That's where all of his muscle is.
Yeah, and looking around his fat ass.
Freaking
Did Joseph Parks on that?
You'll notice anytime you see a 300-pound guy, big guys like that, anybody in general, like you see a large guy.
Paul has huge calves.
Yeah, very.
That's irrelevant to our show. But
very defined.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I got decent sized calves and I flex them, but I'm not lugging around 300 pounds. But yeah, those guys, it's just natural from carrying around all that weight.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah.
And then it became the big. I can't remember the last time I saw an indie guy that didn't have shin pads.
Is it a protection thing, or is it just something to make the boots more?
It became more
cool looking.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a cross between it. Well, it became the style, and it became an accessory that hid small legs essentially.
Yeah, I'm just having like.
I mean, with Shamrock, it made sense with Shamrock at his time. Because it added to him being the shoot fighter kind of guy.
Yeah, but see, I blame shin guards now for things that gave us like fucking Farouk in his Battle Cat helmet.
Did Farouk have shin pads?
He had everything, dude.
He had Iron Man armor.
He was like the Fruity Pebble of gladiators. I don't know.
I don't remember if he had shin pads or not. I'm trying to think of like the earliest shin. Well, I mean, I know Sean Waltman was the earliest.
Once you guess the first one, I really remembered.
Yeah.
I'm
fucking half surprised that he actually made it into WWF wearing them, just because nobody else had. So it probably looks.
Because it said 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a good. God, you know who's drives me crazy, is Kofi Kingston's.
That's right.
Because they're so like, there's no gap between the knee pad and the shin pad,
So where it looks like
and they
it's
go
like
up to the
thigh highs.
Well, it looks like what fucking Tori Wilson would wear.
Yeah.
He looks like he's wearing her
Do you
stockings.
remember what Ahmed Johnson used to do?
He had the knee pad on his.
He had
on
the
his
big
thigh.
padded things around his boots. He had a knee pad, and then he had like a stretched out knee pad on the thighs.
Yeah. And I remember at the time thinking like, oh, that's probably something important, but I've never seen anybody else do it, so I don't know why the fuck he did that.
Just look, it's no different than putting tape around the top of your bicep.
Yeah. But I thought it was actually kind of cool. I don't know why, but I don't even know why he
It
did.
made him look bigger.
Yeah,
He didn't need it.
Well, you know, it's funny when you think about, like, the more pads somebody wears, the more you think, oh, they're tougher or they're stiffer. Well, that's not the case, because the more pads they wear, the less it hurts when they fucking
Road
hit
Dogg
you.
always wore them.
Yeah, I think that was more of an accessory.
Oh, well, you had the baggy pants.
Yeah, I mean, come on, if you're going to break down, like, worst wrestling attire, the Road Dogg probably takes the cake next to the
What about the guy that
Shockmaster.
pretended to be Road Dogg? No, I know somebody worse than Road Dogg, but it is Road Dogg.
Jason Novak?
The real Jesse James.
Oh, yeah, I mean, the Road Dogg.
It was like the country version. It was terrible. He had like that cliched, buttoned-up cowboy.
Yeah. No, I mean, if you're going to look at, like, long-term horrible attire, yeah, Road Dogg. Because why did he have shin guards? He didn't kick
He
anybody.
couldn't wait to be with his baby tonight.
Why did he have baggy workout pants? Because he couldn't wear tights.
Yeah, see, he was like the cool rapper,
He couldn't
like
even-
10 years late.
Why did he wear a t-shirt? Because he wasn't in shape.
Yeah.
You know, he just wasn't... I mean, but he made it work.
Yeah.
I'll give him that.
Oh, he had a nice, 3-year run or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it is a little like, well, I'm going to be a pro wrestler. What's a Value Village for me to wear type of shit.
He's one of those guys, though, if talking never became as crucial as it did, we would never heard of him.
No. And I don't know that... Like, it's hard for him to be a jobber, too, because he's... I don't think people realize how tall he is. He's a very tall...
Yeah,
he's
he's
probably
big.
6'4".
When you see him standing next to Josh in those videos, I'm like, oh shit, Road Dogg is huge.
Sitting next
Yeah.
to him. He's huge.
I mean,
yeah.
width and height. I mean, everything. He's just that much. I mean, Josh Matthews is a small guy, but
Yeah.
I mean, he literally looks like you just like did
A
a
child.
zoom in or something.
Yeah. So, I mean, he would have been too big to be a jobber, probably.
Probably. Yeah, I mean, kind of. I mean, he had a few of those weird, funky moves that had names. You know, like shake, rattle, roll. He did the,
I mean, he had the... I think if he wasn't a drug addict, he could have been a huge star. Because drugs, like, really fucked him up. But he tapped into... He was able to tap into what Dusty Rhodes was able to tap into, just not quite as successfully.
Yeah.
And that having nothing going for you except for charisma.
Mhm.
As far as, like, look or really ability. But you got psychology and you had charisma down. Like, you knew that and you worked it. And he had that. He had those two things. I mean, he wasn't like a big fat fuck like Dusty. But he was kind of like on the opposite end of the spectrum in his peak of being just kind of like, well, thin, gangly, not overly athletic. I mean, let's put it in perspective. When it comes to athletics and wrestling ability, he's at the bottom of the Armstrong gene pool.
yeah, he got his mom.
Scott Armstrong's a better athlete than he is.
when he referees.
Yes. But, I mean, seriously. But he had all the charisma.
Yeah.
The brothers got all the physical
Well,
athletics. He got the charisma.
Bullet Armstrong, he was charismatic, wasn't he?
I don't know that I ever saw anything of him that was charismatic.
I believe he was kind of, maybe not so much verbally, but charismatic with his style.
I mean, he's a good worker.
Yeah.
Fucker still wrestles.
Really?
Yeah.
God, he looks just like a good
I heard he still does a match every weekend. Or every other weekend or something. I don't think he does much, but he goes out and does it.
The Viagra pills are for me, man.
Fuck, I guess. Because we need 5 more fucking Armstrong kids running around. Brad Armstrong, though, is one of the most underrated wrestlers of all time.
Yeah, it's cause, and he was always.
And you didn't get to see him in his prime either. But man, he was fucking good. And he was Arachnoman, and I love Arachnoman.
I remember Brad Armstrong, and
You remember him as Buzzkill. You remember Brad Armstrong when he was.
I remember him. No, I'm sorry. You know, Scott's the one I seen the most in the
referee?
WCW days. Yeah.
Scott Armstrong's the referee.
Was it Brad Armstrong?
Yeah, I'm talking about Brad Armstrong.
One of the guys. He was always a cliche, plain vanilla guy in WCW. He was like a name, but he was like.
You're thinking of Brad.
Okay, then that's yeah.
Yeah.
So I've seen plenty of him. And
Brad was awesome.
I didn't know he had any gimmicks.
Oh fuck!
And that's what I was gonna say. It's like he was just vanilla. He never got a nice thing to work with. Because I mean, that's one of the wrestling families, are the Armstrongs.
Yeah, they just don't have a lot of. It's so weird. Like they're. Did you get the WWE's most powerful wrestling families or whatever DVD? I didn't see it.
No, I don't remember.
But I wonder if the Armstrongs wound up on it. I bet they didn't.
They had to.
No, I don't think they did.
Scott's been with the company for 3 years now. They had to have. Remember Road Up? They were in there. In the
Brad Armstrong was.
They talked about. I mean, who were they talking about? I mean, I don't know. Honestly, I can't name that much. I mean, would you consider the Hennings a wrestling family? Would you consider the DiBiase's a wrestling family? I don't. When I think of wrestling families, I think of the Harts and the Von Erichs. That's it.
What about the Funks?
There's two.
You know what?
Funks.
I'll say.
There's the brothers.
Okay, maybe there should be a third generation classification.
There has to be a third generation, which then you'd have the
or you have to have enough siblings that are involved, I guess.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look at it this way: would you count if you put the third generation rule in? Would you put the Von Erichs in because of Lacey?
No, because Lacey's not a fucking wrestler. I don't care what you say. She's just. She's nice to look at.
Topical news: Kevin Von Erich's two sons just did a tag team match.
Really?
Yep.
Didn't they kill themselves?
No, not yet.
Oh.
I think they're like 18 and 22 or whatever, and they just did their first
Is
match.
he the last brother?
Yeah, he's the one that survived.
That's right.
I think he was.
I thought there might have been another one, but I forgot that midget one fucking killed himself. What the fuck was up with that guy?
Kerry?
No, the midget.
Kerry is fucking huge.
No, Kerry was the one that should have been the best, but he wasn't.
Kerry had the look, but he had no talent.
Yeah, that's what I say.
He
should have been the best.
He had one foot in the door and one. Oh, too soon.
I just got that.
Oh, it's never too soon for a Kerry Von Erich.
The one that died in Japan was the true talent.
Yeah, that was
and then
David.
Yeah, and then Kev, and then would have.
Because I remember Flair really.
And then it would have been Kevin because they gave it.
Kevin wasn't good.
But he was better than Kerry. But Kerry was the marketable one.
Yeah, because
Kerry. But then this would have been the end of the WCCW era.
Mm-hmm.
They brought in, I can't remember his fucking name because he was just a midget, but he was noticeably smaller than all the brothers. He didn't have the height nor the size. But he's like, no.
Was he like a referee or something that
He did that, but they made him a wrestler temporarily because they desperately wanted to do it. And they're like, no, you're just too small. But they let him do it, and then he was one of those guys that he was the one that killed himself right before Kerry.
Yeah, I gotta look up the Von Erichs. There's an interesting documentary that was made by Fritz that's on YouTube that I've only seen some of it. It was made while he was still alive, and he had the footage. Still, the family. It was pretty interesting.
I really would love to know the diagnosis of that whole thing if they just had massive depression issues. Because my God, they had one unfortunate incident. They all just killed themselves.
Well, they had one brother who died as a child.
Okay.
And then.
But the David issue.
David was the first.
David was the one that fucked everybody up because it was just so wrong how he died.
Okay, I'm kind of looking it up here. Okay, there's Jack.
Midget Von Erich.
Okay, Jack died at the age of 6.
80 kid.
A midget Von Erich would have drawn, probably. What would they call him? Because he would have had a cowboy gimmick. And he could have not worn shoes.
Yeah.
He'd be the shoeless cowboy.
Who was that Pee-wee guy?
Okay,
Wee-wee
so... Wee-wee Wilson.
Yeah.
So I was looking through the analysis of the last video, and it was weird because you could see people, because they do an audience retention type of thing, and you could see that when we would start talking about midgets, people would drop off. I know. I was like, well, fuck these statistics. I don't care. Okay, so Kevin's still alive. David died. We know he ate himself to fucking death.
He's the one that
He died
drowned in
in.
his puke,
Yeah, he like ate too much in Japan and then just like
puked in his
died.
sleep, and
Okay.
choked.
Carrie.
Carrie killed himself on the farm.
Mike.
Mike's the one that did right before Carrie.
Mike. Overdosed on tranquilizers in 87. Chris.
Who the fuck's Chris?
Chris died in 91 of his self-inflicted gunshot wound.
So Chris was the midget. He was
Youngest and shortest,
Yes.
and least athletic.
Yep.
And
because his issue, they said, well, at least what the DVD said, the world class DVD said that he had a really hard time
I need to watch
not
that
being
one.
able to measure
That's
up.
such a good DVD too.
Oh, it was really good. Michael Hayes was wonderful in it.
After several years of not being able to succeed in the wrestling business, Chris became depressed and frustrated. He was also heartbroken over the loss of his brother Mike. He committed suicide September 12, 1991 of a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Carrie would have been the next year or 2 years after.
Carrie was
93, I'm guessing.
probably 93.
What a fucking...
It doesn't have it in order of which ones died.
And see, he probably wasn't even depressed, man. He was just probably so fucked up and wasn't even himself anymore. Man, he had a meal ticket and he just threw it all away.
93. Would it be inappropriate that for me to say that if he hadn't died, he would have died when he saw his daughter wrestle?
No.
Not inappropriate? Okay, then that's going to stay in the show.
She's so beautiful. What a